Hello, listeners. How you guys doing? I'm doing good. Um, Apparently, my English teacher from 11th grade has listened to this podcast after multiple times of me telling him and me geeking out about it up to him. So, if you're listening, Sean, hey, Sean, how are you? Get a life. Write my rec letter, please, and make it good. uh, Other than that, college apps have opened for me. I am very nervous because I recently realized that I've not been doing any college work. I've been working on this podcast, which may or may not be a bad idea, but that's okay because the podcast is working out for me. It's working. It's working. I've gotten like 5 interviews so far, like 4 in the past week, which has been amazing. This podcast is with Andy Bolduc. He is a member at Second City, and you'll hear it later in the podcast. But spoiler alert: if I ever visit Second City, I can take a picture with the cast. So I think I'm set for life. That's like dream bucket list checked off, I would say. So, and other people have been saying things too. So I'm building connections, even though I'm going into pre med. Comedy is working out. Okay, I think I will be moving to LA and dropping out of college. You'll see me out there headlining Comedy Central. I don't know what they have, but anyways, I was talking with one comedian today. He'll probably be on this podcast in like a month or two. Probably gonna upload it in a month or two. But he and I were talking about how, like, I feel like young people don't really listen to stand up as much as I think. Like, um, I really don't have any friends who like stand up. I know people who know them, like know they exist, but like they don't actively listen to them or geek out about it. So, and I think that maybe is also a problem of the comedy clubs, purely because a lot of them are 18 and up and 21 and up, so it's really hard to get access to them live. So the only way you can really listen to them is by streaming it online, and you have to really kind of look for them. I know on Netflix they definitely have improved the amount of stand up there is. There's definitely a lot out there, but it's still very hidden in a way. Like, it's not terribly popular unless it's like the first few days that it comes out. Then maybe it is a little, but I feel like in order for me to enjoy geek out about stand up, I have to talk to these like middle-aged men, which is not bad. Like, I'm okay with them. I like older people. They're much more mature and better than high schoolers. Sorry to the people in high school who are listening to this. Um, but I don't know. Stand up is just like comedy is just like one of my passions, and I really want to try to get more people, especially younger people, to like comedy more. So I, for one, can talk about it, and so they can know about this amazing lore and genre and entertainment that they don't even like know about. Yeah. But that's really it for me. I'm not trying to steal up much of my time. This episode, I'm going to be talking with Andy Bolduc, and as I've said, he is a member at Second City. So here we go.
How are you?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
Good, good. Had a lot going on earlier today.
Really?
Just
What
a lot of
happened?
postings.
Oh yeah, the podcast.
hmm
How was that? How did it feel to start out?
I don't like using social media very much.
Yeah,
I don't like navigating it, but I think it went all right.
yeah. I saw
Just
that
every
the
time it feels like I have
feedback
to
from it
relearn how to
was
use it.
great.
You listen to it?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I really liked it. I also was a big fan of the guests themselves. Like, I really liked Fred Armisen and Dana
hmm
Carvey. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm jealous.
Yes. Yeah. It was very cool. Very, very cool to get to uh, get to meet them.
Yeah, but you've met a lot of famous people, right? From like Second City and stuff.
Yes, we've got so far we've had um Tim Meadows, Cecily Strong, and Rachel Dratch from who are all Second City people. No, those episodes haven't all been released yet at the time of our recording, but we've recorded them and they will be coming
Oh,
out.
I'm
Yeah,
excited. I'm
yeah,
gonna be waiting for that.
me too.
Yeah. How does it feel to like be able to interview these people? How did the podcast start out? Did you have to audition?
No, uh, Chris Kattan, um, he came to Second City. He came to see the main stage show last year, and we met. It was like actually while we were still writing the show, we were still in process. But he did the improv set with us after the show, and we chatted a little bit, and then earlier this year, he hit me up on Instagram and he just mentioned that he liked some of my work on the show and then some videos I'd been posting and was starting this podcast and wanted to know if I would sort of sidekick it with him.
That's insane. That's so nice.
Yeah,
Did not know
yeah,
Second City could give you that many opportunities, huh?
yes, yes. No, they're not exactly just falling from the sky constantly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so very nice.
How's the new main stage going so far?
The new main stage show is going really, really well. Um, yeah, we're only about a month in.
Yeah.
We took about 3 months to write the show, so we're putting it together. Now we're about a month into running it, and it is going well. It's definitely a grind. It's always a grind. The past two reviews
Yeah.
been the same way, but um, the cast is awesome, and I really like our material. So it's pretty fun. It always slowly, you know, doing 8 shows a week, month after month, can sort of keeping it fresh for yourself can become a challenge. I guess I should put it
Yeah,
that way.
that makes sense. Yeah, I like in band class, like we play the music so many times. I'm just like I'm done with this. But it just like it's hard to keep it new in a way, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Have you had any unexpected heckles during the show yet?
We really don't get heckled much at Second City. Um, it is really very rare that people will heckle us. Um, People will sometimes be like, they will shout things out, but it's not usually in an aggressive way or like that they're giving us a hard time. That is pretty rare that somebody like at sort of like the classic sort of like confrontational stand-up show energy that is I would say very rare in my experience at Second City.
That's so cool. Like I didn't know like
Yeah.
stand up like I didn't know comedy couldn't be heckled in live.
Yeah, yeah. People will shout things out, people will say stuff, but often I think they understand that we do, that a decent part of our show is improv. And so they're shouting out suggestions. And the other thing you hear people doing a lot is like they will just sort of repeat the words that we've just said. That's a common thing that happens.
Yeah.
Like, but they're saying it like laughing, like,
Oh yeah,
if you
yeah,
make,
kind of like an echo.
they'll be like, oh, pancakes, they'll just
Yeah.
repeat. But yeah, we really don't get too much. It's pretty rare. There've been a few instances where have, we've had audience members that have really sucked, but generally it's not too bad.
Yeah, I feel like the one time I went to Second City, like it was actually I didn't realize it was going to be the ending show for the main stage, but it was actually like amazing. I was like, "Oh wow, this is really funny." And I did not expect like the crowd to be so nice in a way. Yeah.
You were anticipating people being a bit more uh, adversarial.
A bit more drunk, I would say.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
Well, they definitely do get drunk sometimes. They
yeah.
definitely do get drunk. Yeah, particularly at the late shows on the weekend, the shows that start at 10 p.m. You can
Oh
definitely
yeah.
feel the audience start to fade as you get closer to midnight.
How does it feel? What's the difference really between like earlier shows and later shows, you would say, during the day?
Hmm. I think just generally people are, at the later shows, they've been drinking a bit more. Um, they are a little more, on average, open to raunchier content at the later shows. It also tends to be a little bit more like people in their, 20s, 30s, 40s, whereas the earlier shows, we often get older people and younger kids at those shows, as well as a mix of people in their 20s, 30s, 40s. But, you see more of that at
Yeah,
the
they
2
gotta reach
p.m.
their bedtime, you know.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. Everybody's got to hit their bedtime.
Do you feel more tired on the later shows? Like after performing a set, do you feel like, oh, I had to do this again? And it does it feel more exhausting, you would say?
Hmm. Um, it's interesting. Usually the second show, for me, is less exhausting just because I know it's the last one that I have to do. The first one is the big hump to get over. It's like, oh God, I got to do two of these tonight.
Yeah.
Um, that is the harder part, honestly, psychologically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then by the second show, I'm warmed up, I'm ready to go, and I'm like, we're on the downslope. So honestly, that the 10 p.m. is easier for me than the 7 p.m. on a Friday or Saturday night.
That's nice. That's nice then.
Yeah,
So you could deal with like
yeah,
a tired crowd, but you're active. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's really just the psychological barrier for me. I'm always like physically, you know, very able to do the show and never find, even though I do a lot of physical activity on stage, it never like tires my body out that much. It's more like um, the mental energy that you have to bring to try and be like present
Yeah.
and sharp.
To like hype up the
Yeah.
crowd in a way.
Yes. And be on your toes the whole time, that
Yeah,
kind of
because
thing.
you guys do so much improv, right?
hmm
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
How do you guys like improve at improv, would you say? Like is just this experience, or do you have to have like a few sets in your mind to like respond to things?
Hmm. I mean, I think the number one thing that makes you better is practice for sure. That's the number one thing. When you're getting started out in improv, I think classes are helpful as long as you're also practicing a lot outside of the classes. And uh because they give you the like the foundation to so that you can work with people and start to have successful experiences on stage. Like the classes set you up for that to be a possibility, and then it's like performing a lot that makes you strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you take any classes in the beginning? Because I know you did improv in college. So
Mhm.
did you take classes before that, or did you just like start up raw dogging it?
Exactly. Yeah, I raw dogged it.
Really?
Um, Yeah, yeah. I hadn't there was no improv. I didn't know anything about improv until I started doing it in college. The only thing that I was aware of was the show Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
I'd seen that. But other than that, it was like, no, I just saw that there was a college improv group and I was like, I want to do that. I saw them perform a few times and I was like, I think I can do this.
Seems easy enough.
Yeah, yeah. And we were pretty raw. We were definitely pretty raw. We did not. I'm from Maine, and I went to school in Maine, and it's not like Chicago, for example, where there's a lot of I understand that high schools have like improv programs and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Where are you from?
I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Say that one more time.
Ann Arbor, Michigan. So like I'm near
Oh,
like
Ann Arbor.
yeah, so I'm like my high school is actually like right across from like the UMich Stadium, like the football stadium.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a pretty big college town.
Yeah, yeah. I've done shows there with the touring company back in the day.
Oh really? How
Um,
was that? Did
do
you
you
like the crowd
guys
over
have?
here?
Yes, actually, the Ann Arbor show was really really good. Yeah, A lot of people from the college. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
hot crowd.
Were you gonna ask me something about?
Yes. Do you have like are there high school improv programs? Do people do it at a young age where you're from?
So I think we have a comedy troupe, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe we have improv things. Like we have a few like acting one and acting two classes, and we have like a theater guild. But we don't do much improv. I would say.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I want to try doing improv, but I don't really know where to start with it because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's such a. I'm really bad at like thinking on the spot, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I want to get better on it. So, yeah.
I say go for it. I say go for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Find people, other people who want to do it. I'm sure you can find a way. Yeah.
Did you have any experiences of like entertainment industry when you were in high school?
Have any experience with the entertainment industry
Yeah.
in high school? I did school plays. That was my big brush with the entertainment industry. Was I would always, from like middle school and actually like fifth grade on, I would always audition for any school plays that were happening. There was always a big yearly musical um, in middle school and high school, and then the other plays. That was basically, yeah, what I spent a lot of my time in high school doing.
I see. Yeah, I don't do like musical plays, but I'm in
Mm-hmm.
like I performed like one show with the our theater guild at our school for like
Mm-hmm.
there was like basically kind of like a singing talent show. I wasn't singing, but I was like a host for it. So then
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
so it was really cool to deal with like because I've never had dealt with crowds in that way, and I was like
Mm-hmm.
I was very interested. And I definitely am doing it this year, so you know.
Nice. How did it go the first time you did it?
It went really good actually. Like it felt it felt weird when we were rehearsing it when we had like tech week before and like there was like only like 5 to 10 people in the crowd and when I was like saying my lines it felt very dry and I couldn't have the energy so I feared like oh it's not going to go well during the actual show. But when the actual
Mm-hmm.
show came the energy was like there was people laughing so much and I was like this is not the funny part but whatever makes them laugh.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. The crowd carried you, gave you
Yeah.
the
The
energy.
crowd was really
That's awesome.
nice. So yeah. Did you? Where else did you go for the touring company for Second City?
You went to a lot of places, all within the U.S. With the touring company. Never got to go overseas. That's pretty rare. Um, but we did a lot of places in the Midwest, a lot of Wisconsin, Indiana, Iowa, Southern Illinois, and then a lot of the Northeast, um, and uh, a little bit to the South. Um, Not too much the West Coast. We did 1 month in Berkeley, California, which was very cool. Um, but yes, our big spots were the Midwest, Northeast, and kind of like the northern part of the South.
Is there any difference in like the performing main stage where people come to you rather than touring
Mm-hmm.
company where you have to go to them?
Mm-hmm. Are there big differences?
Yeah,
Yes, yes, there definitely are. I would say that the average crowd at main stage is very hot. You know, uh, people come in, they're excited to be there, and the room is really good. It's like a cross between like a club and theater space at the main stage in Chicago, and it's just it really works well. It's a hot room, and then being on tour often. Um, People come and see the show because it's what their local theater has on its yearly program, um, or we're booked to play at a college or high school, and the people coming, uh, the reason that they're coming is because it's happening, not because they sought us out specifically.
I
So
see.
it varies how excited people are
Yeah,
to see the touring company. Yeah, and often we're playing also in we were playing in these great big, auditoriums, that could seat like 500 people or, 800 people, and maybe 75 people showed up for the show.
Oh,
So that is a hard room to play in
yeah.
compared to main stage theater.
Yeah, that definitely the audience feedback is definitely a big thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
for like it definitely if you guys are doing improv things, if there's no one to say anything, it's kind of awkward.
Yes, and people being right up next to each other, packed in close, it reduces, I think, everybody's self consciousness and makes them more likely to laugh and feel loose, and it just improves the energy. And when everybody's spread out in a great big space with high ceilings, it like it's just like throwing water on a fire or trying to start a fire basically with like damp wood. It's
Yeah.
really difficult.
Yeah, I really I get that. Did you what was I gonna say? Wait, how did you end up at Second City to begin with?
Um, After college, I moved to Chicago with a good friend of mine, and I wanted to get into comedy, and I knew Chicago had a good theater scene, a good comedy scene, and I had actually seen Second City once on this road trip, but I really didn't know that much about it beforehand. And then when I got to Chicago, I started, um, you know, doing. I started. I never took classes at Second City. I started doing classes at um, IO, the Improv Olympic, formerly Improv Olympic Theater, and meeting people, putting up shows with them. And it was after a friend of mine got a producer from Second City to come and see this independent sketch show we had put up, that I got that they asked me to come and do an audition to work on a cruise ship, and that was my and then I booked that from that audition. That was the first thing that I did with Second City.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have any like when you were doing the independent sketches,
Mm-hmm.
was it very hard to start out, you would say? Like did you have to work some day job in order to finance this career in comedy?
Yeah. Yes, I did. I always had another you know, job up until I joined the touring company at Second City. Um, and yes, I worked a ton of, you know, terrible little jobs, all different kinds of things, data entry, writing. I worked at Groupon, Grubhub. I did TaskRabbit for a long time. Did a lot of different jobs, and then would perform, set up shows for myself and my friends, and perform at night.
Did you say your would you say your double major in government and French really helped you anything?
Yes, that I found it was crucial. I could not be doing comedy if I didn't have that poli sci foundation, and French language. That those skills have proved to be incredibly useful. I mean, I do think it's good, like liberal arts education. I do absolutely see the value in it. I see the value in it for becoming a well-rounded person. For specifically helping with this career path, maybe not. Maybe not.
If they ever need you to be a flag bearer at the Olympics, you know you can speak it. So,
I would love that. That would be amazing. Paris Olympics.
yeah.
Just get me over there. Yeah, I should be on the U.S. Improv
Yeah,
team.
yeah, that should be a sport. Like really using the lungs.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's so funny. So you how much when did you realize that you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
become this comedian instead of like I don't know, a government official?
Hmm. Well, I I think I had it in mind for a long, long time. I remember in eighth grade, a teacher telling me, that I had a lot of promise. That I was like, they were like, "Oh, you're very good. You're a good student. What do you want to do?" And I'm pretty sure I told him that I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And I don't think he knew what that was, Mr. Lee. But even though I studied, you know, yeah, government and French, and did not, academically like study comedy or theater. Um, I always knew that I wanted to write and perform. Always knew that. I know that I knew that at least at some point in middle school because I had started telling people that in middle school.
Did you have any inspirations to do comedy? Like, did you have a specific people that you looked up to?
Mm, um, yes, definitely. Um, like the shows that I remember, and I still think of this show, even though I got introduced, I didn't see it until I was in high school. But Mr. Show, that is my favorite sketch show of all time. And that I saw Mr. Show and I was like, I want to make sketches this funny,
Yeah.
as funny as Mr. Show. When I was really little, I remember there was this radio show, it might still exist, called Dr. Demento. You ever heard of that?
I might be a little too young for that.
I mean, I was too. It was a weird thing, but I didn't have any other way to listen to any of this stuff. And they did I liked Weird Al Yankovic and comedy songs. And I had this little Nickelodeon radio. And when I was supposed to be asleep in bed, when I was probably you know, 7 years old, I would take this Nickelodeon radio and tune it to. My friend had told me what radio station would play this at like 10 p.m. on Sunday nights, and would listen under my pillow to Dr. Demento and listen to and I would always be hoping they would play Weird Al Yankovic songs.
Yeah.
That was what they would play, all kinds of weird little sketches, and they would play SNL sketches sometimes too. On there, the Celebrity Jeopardy. I remember learning
Yeah.
about that through there. Yeah, that was probably the first taste of mm, underground comedy that I got.
That sounds that sounds like instead of like the your parents worrying about you doing drugs, they're worrying about you listening to too many sketches.
Yes, yes, that would have been the problem with me. Yeah.
How were your parents' reaction to you wanting to go comedy?
Hmm. My parents, they are supportive, but they are quiet. It's sort of like my parents are sort of like, mm, okay, do you think you know what you're doing? All right. If you say you know what you're doing, great. They're sort of uh, cautiously respectful of my choices. They like it. They like watching me perform. They really really like that, and they really like the stuff that I make and the stuff that I do. But they, you know, I remember when I told them I was going to move to Chicago, they were like, "Why? Why do you want to do that?"
Stay in Maine.
They're
Like,
like, "What exactly is the thinking there?"
yeah. Did you when you picked your colleges, I
Mm-hmm.
know you went to Colby and you definitely
Mm-hmm.
did many like comedy, theatrical things. Was
Mm-hmm.
the um the crowd there like a kind of like a main point when you were deciding which college to go to?
Hmm. Um. Well, I think probably the biggest thing that led me to choose to go there was that I got a pretty good financial aid package. That was sort of the biggest reason I think that I chose to go there. And My dad had gone there, so I already knew about it, and I liked the vibe. I didn't really know what the other people on campus were like until I got there. And I'm so glad that I went there because I met um, so many really really good friends. The person that I moved to Chicago with was a friend from Colby, and many of those people are still very very good friends to this day. But I really did not know beforehand. I did not know what people would be like. I found out that it was a very very generally very nice the average Colby student. Nerdy, nice, um, uh, you know, kind of a woodsy hippie type.
You picked the college who showed you the money, and turns out it was a good college.
Yes, yes, yeah.
I did some online research, and I saw that you
Mm-hmm.
performed Macbeth
Yeah.
in the Powder and Wig, I believe. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually had to read Macbeth for my English class this past year, and
Oh, really?
I really liked it. And I was wondering if you had any favorite monologues or scenes of the play that you really enjoyed performing or just enjoyed in general.
I really love Macbeth. Yeah, it was a lot of fun to play. I look back now on the pictures of myself in costume for it, and I look at myself and I'm like, this. I look like to myself now. I'm like, oh, I look like a little baby. I'm supposed to be this dark, brooding, you know, character turning to the dark side, but but yeah, I had an absolute blast playing. I think my favorite parts are at the end when things are going poorly for Macbeth. Everybody's closing in on him. There's a few lines I remember. Blow wind, come rack. At least we die with harness on our back.
Yeah.
This is a pretty badass line. He's like, "Fuck it, let's die.
He's like,
I'm down
I
to
don't care
die."
anymore. Like, just like if I will not surrender to you no matter what. And I was like, dang,
Yes.
he ain't a coward.
Even another one. I think I've got this a little bit wrong, but uh, stars hide your fires, let not light see my black and deep desires.
Oh, that's like in like a relatively in the beginning of it, right?
Yeah, but I love that. He's tell the sky, like, close your eyes, God, close your eyes on the bad shit I'm about to do.
Yeah, because I was we had to our English teacher is very mean, but I liked him a lot. But he had us do spot quotes, so I was like watching like one of the shows. I saw like
Yeah.
the BBC production of it, I believe, with like Dame Judi Dench and other people, and I was just
Hmm.
like wowed by it. Like even though like it was like it's a relatively old production, but I was like mystified, and I aced the test. What to say? So,
That's
uh,
awesome. What is this production of Dame Judy Dench? You said, isn't it?
yeah, it was like I don't remember. I found it on YouTube somewhere, but I
Hmm.
saw Dame Judi Dench, and I was like, "That's my girl. I gotta go. I gotta watch it." And it was good.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
I'll look that one up.
it was good. So I was like, I'll take it for free. So, I also looked online and I saw that you started the cigarette sandwich.
Hmm.
How did that name come to be?
We were trying to come up with names at the time. The group has since expanded, but at the time it was me and my friends Case Blackwell and Tim Lamphere. We wanted to do sketch comedy, and we were. I remember us pitching names to each other, and I just thought at the time, I don't know, I was on a big. I think cigarettes are very funny. I don't know why, but I kept thinking of things related to cigarettes, little jokes with cigarettes, like, you know, stuff about like a dog smoking a cigarette or using cigarettes to pretend to be Wolverine claws. I can't exactly say why I thought that was so funny at the time, but I was like, I suggested cigarette sandwich, and Tim and Case were down for. I wish that it had a like a that it came out of some like shared story or something, but it was truly just like, I think this seems like a funny name for a sketch comedy group.
It certainly is unique. Like you don't forget it.
That is one of its strengths, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if you guys were like if you guys were based in New York, would be like weed sandwich or something.
We would have to match the vibe. Now it would be, yes, vape sandwich.
Yeah, definitely. What was it like to start out as this group? Was it kind of like starting a band of some sort?
I think it's a lot like that. Yeah. We had all uh, taken some improv classes and were in the Chicago improv scene, and we all wanted to do sketch comedy. And I know that I was feeling at the time very frustrated uh, with improv, that I just was like, I'm not that good at this. Um, I didn't feel that I was. And then we started doing sketch together, and I felt like that. I felt good at it. Like we would, pitch these ideas to each other and write and kind of. I think that I really learned how to improvise by doing sketch comedy. Like it gave me this place where I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I can just sort of get loose within this sort of established scenario, within this framework. And that just worked so much better for me than a totally blank canvas. And I felt like I built up my comedy skills. It was really that group. I think that's where I felt like I started to really get a handle on comedy.
That's interesting. Did you have any like when you were improvising, did you have any thoughts of like, oh, this might be a little bit too offensive. Let me not do that thing and let me do something else.
Yes, absolutely. I still do. I think we did things that were probably too offensive, though we were trying to keep that in mind at the very least. And I think we mostly succeeded at that. That we were like, well, we want to be really funny and we want to be edgy, but we don't want to make anybody feel bad. That's not our
It's like
goal.
kind of teetering on the edge of woke comedy.
Is that?
Teetering on the edge of woke comedy.
Yes. I don't think we never tried to do any kind of like thing with a message or, you know, go woke or anti woke. It was just like, well, we want things to like have a really hard punch to them and be really surprising to people. And sometimes that like, means going into these places that are sort of on those edges, but not going at them in order to like get some sort of negative reaction out of somebody. We're never going there to like it's just so you can just make somebody feel bad or talk about something really awful. Uh, that's very easy and cheap to do. It's like what's like a a really crazy, complicated premise, that nobody else would think of. That's sort of like the goal. That would really also like I guess shocking people a little bit. That can feel like when people are like, whoa, what is that? That that's a useful tool in the tool belt.
Yeah, like the customer who wanted to buy a tree for trimming, wanting to buy a ladder for trimming the tree.
Yes, yes, yes. That's a good example of something that is um, definitely riding that line and maybe skating into some dicey territory.
How did you think of these like absurd ideas? Like how did they make sense but also no sense in your mind?
Mm, mm, mm. I don't quite know where they exactly come from. I think that usually they come for me where my best ideas come from usually is when I'm in a playful state trying to make people that I really like laugh and people that I feel comfortable being a little bit, that I can play, slightly edgy with them and playfully push in these areas. And it's in the process of just like being relaxed and trying to make them laugh that things just sort of like naturally connect themselves in my mind. And then I write it down. I'm like, oh, that was a good idea. Write it down.
Would you say that most of your like things were improvised or written out or planned?
Almost always like a combination of those things.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's I find it very hard. You can occasionally do it, but it's very hard to like I think brute force the initial idea. Like the initial idea usually just comes from like being present and aware and relaxed and playful and having all of those elements. Um, Basically, just sort of having fun, uh, and then you are just the other part of your mind, the sort of like scientific calculating editing part catches that. This is like, oh, that's good, there's legs there, grab that idea. you know it's like the funny thought is like the beautiful butterfly floating through the field, and then you've got the sort of like comedy hunter mindset. It's like, oh, that's a good one, get it with a net.
Yeah, because I feel like your ideas are so absurd sometimes that like I don't think about it, and I'm like, oh wait, that's actually could be funny if you do it right,
Mm-hmm.
and you do it right. Like the guy who dies first in Stephen King movies, and I'm like, I never thought about that, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I
I love Stephen King.
Stephen King is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't usually read. No, I read books, but I don't usually read like that type of genre as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like he's a fun writer.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm actually from. I grew up like a mile from his house.
so you could just get
I'm from
breakfast from him
Bangor.
sometime.
What's that?
You can just like have a lunch date with him for some time.
Never did that, but I did see him around town occasionally.
That's
Yeah,
so
but
weird to think
no, never
about.
had lunch with
Okay.
him.
Do you think Stephen King affected your career of some sort? Like, do you think you brought in some of his ideas or some ideas of yours that were inspired by his writing into your own sketches?
Oh, absolutely. I love horror and I love science fiction, and I'd say outside of comedy, the number one sort of creative place that my mind goes is like thinking of um, premises for horror stories or horror novels, and I've never that's been sort of like this thing that I've wanted to pursue more, is like to actually try writing some horror stories. But I think of a lot of it comes out in my comedy, in that I like to do sketches about monsters and villains and you know creeps of all different shades.
Do you have any
Mm-hmm.
intentions of doing those roles if they were given to you?
Yes, I would love uh, to play villains. That's my absolute favorite kind of character. I think to play is a villain, and I think I lean towards a comedic villain. Because mostly I spend my time doing comedy. Um, but like when I was in um, middle school and high school, I played Captain Hook in Peter Pan. I played um, Monsieur Thenardier in Les Miserables, Fagin in Oliver Twist, though he's not exactly a villain, but kind of these guys who, at the very least, are kind of morally questionable, and obviously Macbeth.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. No, I would love to play um, a villain, in a non-comedic setting as well as comedic setting. Yeah,
Who's your favorite
and other
villain of
characters
all
if any
time?
casting directors are listening.
Just saying, if it gets big, if it comes out. Who's your favorite villain of all time? You would say.
Favorite villain of all time?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Oh boy, that is hard to say. Okay, one that I really love from um, uh, Stephen King is in the Dark Tower series. Have you ever heard of those books?
I've heard of them. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
read them yet, but I heard them. Should I read them?
I would highly recommend them because they're some of my absolute favorites.
All right, all
They're
right. Let me write it down real quick.
okay. Uh, they're dark. They're sort of like dark fantasy, sci-fi, western. This mix of a lot of different genres, and there is the the bad guy in that who appears in a number of Stephen King's uh, other stories is a guy named Walter O'Dim, the Man in Black. He's like a wizard, a time traveling interdimensional sorcerer character. Um, I love him.
Would you say
Yeah,
you want to
Randall
be him?
Flagg. Um, he seems like he's having fun. He's having fun bringing about the end of the world. He's like, and the really cool part about him, the like mysterious part, is that he's never like 100% explained. Like he always knows more than you, the reader, or you, um, the author. I think he's like, it's just, he knows, he's seen things, he's like aware of, you know, um, movements in the universe that are beyond the comprehension of anybody else. He's like the wizard who's gazed into the orb and sees the madness within it, and he likes it.
He's like kind of like God in a way.
Yeah, he's I think he's like the devil's. He's not exactly the devil, but he's like the devil's happy servant. He's like, yeah.
That's a good analogy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what a great character I think you would be. I feel like just to add, even though he's not really a villain, I think he would be a great Deadpool.
Oh yeah,
Like it has that
Deadpool's fun.
comedic twist, but also very dark in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you better say watch out to like Ryan Reynolds because you're out for him.
I'm coming, man.
Are you gonna watch the new movie? You think Deadpool and Wolverine?
I think I will. I think I will see it. I think I heard it was in 4DX, which I believe is a theater where the seats shake a little bit, and I've never been
Oh,
to
like
one of
kind of
those, and I want to give that a try.
like a real life feeling of like all those like effects and things.
Hmm. I don't know. It might. I don't know if that's would really help a movie that much, but it sounds kind of fun. The idea of your seat shaking around and maybe they're blowing fans on you. I'd like to. I'd like to try it.
I've experienced it like once or twice at like Disneyland or like Universal Studios, I think. Like it's a pretty cool
Hmm.
experience, but I'm like, eh. It's like it doesn't really add that much to it, I feel like.
Oh, okay.
But it's like it's still cool to think. I'm like, oh my god, I'm feeling water like putting on my face right now.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like a little bit like an amusement park ride. That's the thing they're trying
I
to
would say
emulate.
so. I would say so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had that I like for like some Marvel thing, and I was like, oh, that's weird. But
Mhm.
uh, do you have any intention of acting? Do you want to be acting more or directing? Would you say?
Hmm. I think uh, if it's directing, I would want to be directing something that I wrote or helped conceptualize in some way. That I don't think I would want to just direct um, like a script someone else wrote unless I really really connected with it. I would like to be a creator where it's like I'd be a writer, director, producer, you know, helping something come about that way. Um, but uh, directing other people's material can be a little bit challenging sometimes because I want to change things. Like I always notice that would probably be my challenge, and it's like you know, as an actor, I think I'm a little more okay with just taking something someone else has written and bringing myself to it.
Yeah, okay, I see. So you kind of want to be like this like little independent kind of doesn't really have a specific role in it, but is in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just
Mm-hmm.
say.
Yeah, I mean, I love acting. I think what I like the most is acting the material that I've written myself. Um, Otherwise, I have to really like. It has to be something I like, a subject matter or something I really connect with to lock into it. Otherwise, it is I can do it and find it enjoyable, but I have to work a lot. Like I audition for commercials and stuff, and a lot of times it is like very challenging. I'm like, you know, every time I'm like, do I know how to do this at all?
How do I embody this?
Yes. How do I embody this guy who has one incredibly short line and then kind of looks at someone else? And how do you do that in the best way possible?
What would your dream gig be? You would say.
the dream gig would be to um, be a writer, creator, and potentially performer on a TV show I made with my friends and favorite comedy collaborators. So, like, could be a sketch show, could be a sitcom, but I would love to be um, making it with people that I really like and to be one of the primary creative forces behind that. Like, so writing, producing, directing, all of those elements sort of together.
Kind of like John Krasinski in like some of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like in If,
Yeah.
he was like producing and directing, like A Quiet
Mm-hmm.
Place and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Oh man, and to do a movie, that would be really cool. That would be really, really cool. I think the closest I've gotten to that kind of thing is I made with a 30-minute sketch pilot with some friends. It was basically just 31-minute comedy sketches that we wrote and performed in, and we all like took turns filming. Mostly our Case Blackwell did most of the filming, but we in some cases would swap out those duties and kind of getting to do that all as a group to be able to do that kind of thing with and be have a budget behind it and be paid to do it and have it be seen by a lot of people. That
Yeah,
would be the dream.
I think you'll get it someday. I think I'll definitely watch the show
Knocking
if you
on
make
wood.
one.
You will be the first to know. I am going to make sure. I'm going
Bet,
to make sure.
bet. All right. And do you have any advice to people who want to start out like in these careers or just want to have a like interest in it?
Hmm. Um, well, I more and more come to realize that the advice that I found very frustrating when I was starting out is probably true, which is that uh, there is no one path. Everybody kind of figures it out for themselves. But I would say if you want to do comedy, um, I'd say don't get discouraged. Know that you're gonna probably, if you have good taste, you're going to disappoint yourself. Your taste, I believe there's some Ira Glass quote about your taste outstripping your ability at the beginning. That will absolutely be true. So just keep doing it, keep practicing. Um, you know, learn from the failure, but don't let it convince you that you're unworthy. And find um, peers that are that make you laugh, that do stuff that you really like, and work with them, and you'll help to keep each other going. Like support your friends, and your friends support you, and I think that's where you get the energy that will sustain you because there's a lot of things that will uh, that are very very hard about it, that are very very hard. So I think taking the long view on it, be ready to if you want immediate success, you should really you need to be born to somebody who's already in the entertainment industry and quite successful. I think that's the only cheat code that I'm aware
Gotta
of.
have some shortcut to
So
it, you know.
yes, that's the only shortcut. Otherwise, yeah, don't get discouraged. Keep trying, practice a lot, and be nice to everybody and make friends.
That sounds like great advice. I'll take it. I don't know. I haven't
You
decided where I
absolutely
want to
should,
go
Natalie.
yet,
You
but
absolutely should.
I'm a senior in high school. Gotta start applying to those colleges. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Well, college is a great place, I think, to you'll meet a lot of people who, um, uh, might share your comedic sensibilities and that you'll want to work with. So that's like I think a really good environment to you know start practicing and start experimenting.
maybe I'll join an improv group. You never know.
Absolutely.
You never know. All right. Well, it was great meeting you today. I hope I
Me
can.
too.
I hope I can watch The Devil in a Detour sometime if I have some. if I go to Chicago, I'll definitely go watch it. Hopefully when I'm old enough to watch it alone because my mom does not particularly like it.
She doesn't like the Second City shows.
I mean, she watched it last time and she's like, I don't get it. I'm like, I don't know. I mean,
I think my mom doesn't get a lot of my comedy, but she's nice about it. She just kind of, the stuff that she doesn't like, she just won't say anything.
my mom's like, I don't know why you like this. I'm like, I don't know why either, but I like it. So, but if I get to ever see you at Second City,
Mhm.
I'll make sure to tell you. And I hope we can continue being friends if we are friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
maybe.
hit me up anytime.
All right.
If you ever have any questions and yes, if you're coming to see the show, please let me know.
Should I? Do I get to see you in person? Can I talk to you?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, if you come by, you should definitely come take a pic with the whole cast.
Oh my god, that'd be great. I love I might be interviewing your ensemble member like Jordan too.
Oh, awesome. Jordan is
And
the
he's so
sweetest
funny.
guy.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I can't wait to see the other cast too. But I hope
Hmm.
that I can somehow maneuver my way into another ticket for Second City by my mother and get to see you guys again.
Yes. Well, I really hope so. And yes, definitely let me and Jordan know if you're coming through.
All right, great. I'll let you know. Let you know a big celebrity is coming your way. All right. Well, it's great meeting you. Thank you for talking to
Meeting
me
you
and
too.
doing this big favor. Maybe this will be the
Absolutely, my
reason
pleasure.
this podcast will blow up. You never know. You never know. I'll get a podcast one deal. You never know.
Yes, yes, you are gonna give shine to me. I'm expecting you to take me to the top.
All right. Yeah. I'm planning to. Don't even worry.
Okay.
Well, it's great meeting you. I hope I can see you again in Second City, possibly in
Hmm.
person, preferably in person.
Hmm.
And maybe I'll talk to you next time somewhere. You never know.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you haven't, go down to Chicago and go watch Devil in the Detours with Andy. Okay, he's so funny. Definitely when I went there, he was one of the ensemble members that I loved the most. Even though my mom did not like him that much, she calls him one of a Stefan lookalike. Context behind that is that I have a coach called Stefan, and they're just both white people. They don't look that alike, but you know, we're not trying to be racist here. But it's okay. It's okay. As long as my mother knows about him, it's okay. So I really hope he can do his big dreams. And I hope I can be there to see it because I want to be there and be like, I was one of the first fans. Well, not first, but younger and when he was just back at Second City. Oh, that would be great. But thank you for listening. I hope to see you again in 2 weeks.